All right, grasshoppers, we found him. He's out of Texas, and we've tracked him down. Actually, more my fault. I think we crossed wires last week. We were doing the show. But how you doing, Bob?
Doing real good. How about you?
Excellent, excellent. So, anybody that's seen Bob before, Bob served in the Navy for, I apologize, 26 years?
Yeah, that's it. 26. Thank you.
Perfect, perfect. I've been doing this intermittent fasting. They say it regenerates brain cells when you're doing intermittent fasting. So maybe that's working now. I'm getting some
Hey, just get that heart rate up to 60 to 85% of your age recommended maximum, and you're generating brain cells. It's called neuroplasticity.
It is funny. We talked about it before, but there's so many things I'm learning now. That's the great thing for the pandemic for me, doing all these podcasts with people like yourself and reading and doing other stuff and doing all these health benefits. So should have done it probably a long time before I turned 62 years old, but we get it done anyways.
Hey, I wish I would have known this 30 years ago, but a lot of the science wasn't proven, even 10 years ago. So it's pretty cool.
Like, with the intermittent fasting, I always was under the belief that, you had to be constantly putting food into your system to keep the metabolism going. Now they say it's just not accurate at all. In fact, it's the opposite, all the benefits you get.
Yeah, that's something I haven't really tried yet. I'll probably get to that sooner or later. But overall, you're happy with it?
Yeah, well, and I'm like you. I mean, it's a compliment. I'm stubborn, right? I mean, people have told me about it for years. I'm like, yeah, no, I know what I'm doing. I'm going to eat this way. And I finally started studying it more. And so I guess the theory is that after 12 hours from your last meal, for the 12-hour point, you've burned off all the calories inside your body. And your body's got this amazing way to heal itself once it's not constantly burning calories. So once those calories are gone, it starts to regenerate cells in your brain and throughout your body, creates more human growth hormone and burns off the fat that you don't need as well. So.
Wow. And sleeping counts as fast, obviously, time, right?
Yeah. In fact, you try to do it. So I stop eating at 8 o'clock at night and I don't eat again until 12 o'clock the next day. So I'm really just skipping breakfast is what I'm doing. But during that time I'm sleeping and I'm actually working out too. Like I burn, I'm estimating about 1,000 calories during that time as well. But I work out early. So it's, there's still some calories in my system while I'm working out.
Yeah.
So it's not till 8 o'clock the next morning that the calories have been burned out of my body, and I've got all my workout done by then as well. So,
and do you do any type of pre-workout supplement or anything? You get
I took a amino energy drink, so it's just amino acids which we need, and it's got caffeine in it. So it's like 20 calories, and then I do a shot of apple cider vinegar with that. So that's at like 3:45 in the morning.
Okay.
Just to get me going. So instead of having a cup of coffee, that's what I have. So.
Yeah, got it. Yeah, we'll have to connect on that, and I need to learn more about that. Give that a shot.
You're like me. I'm not going to just take anybody's advice for it. I mean that as a total compliment. I was so stubborn with it. Like people told me for years, I had trainers talk to me about it, and I was like, nah, get on.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's good though. So how was the trip to Texas?
Yeah, it was a great trip. Great group of guys down there. As I said, this particular client owns 6 dealerships across the state. He brought all his service managers and his customer service. I'm sorry, he brought all his general managers and his service managers to headquarters in Abilene. And we had a great 2 days with the group. It went so well, I think, that they want me to come back 4 times next year. So I'm working on that contract right now. So highly successful.
Right.
And I love working with good groups of people like this. These are good folks who want to do good things, and they just, they've been exposed to certain aspects of leadership, but they haven't been exposed to other aspects. And I was able to bring them things that they found to be new and valuable.
Right. It helps, right? So you got people that want the help, right? It's not like they want to get better. So that's a big part of it too. It's like you can't be force feeding it, right?
Oh yeah, no, and part of my process is to triage. I don't go there and give them, I don't go there and give them X or Y or Z. I give them what they want. I ask, and I develop a very deliberate plan of presentation and interaction based on, what they're going through, what their wants and needs are. And that changes within a company from time to time. Do you have a lot of new hires? Do you have a lot of people that have been on board for a long time? Are people geographically separated? Are they all in the same cube farm? I mean, all those dynamics go into how effective teams work together, and how they, and how the culture is, how effective they work together, and how they create or don't create a very positive culture.
So just so people aren't aware, Bob runs a leadership camp. BobPazzini.com, I think, is your website.
Correct? Yeah, RobertPazzini.com.
RobertPazzini.com.
And my email's on the screen there.
Yeah, perfect. So when you do it, like for me, when I do events like that, I often go away. I've learned stuff myself, right, with the interaction with other people. Did you learn anything this trip?
Yeah. So the fellow who owns the dealership, very smart guy. He studies. He studies leadership. He knows that a lot of people rely on him for their bread and butter, and he takes his role very serious. But I think the biggest thing I learned from him on this trip is that he does place a lot of responsibility and trust in his team. He hears everybody's voice, but everybody doesn't have a vote. Ultimately, as the leader, he's got to make the final decision. So he gets everybody's input. So I call it voice versus vote. He hears the voices, but I saw him really engage everybody on his team, and then come up with some decisions. Some things the team was asking for, and in one or two cases, he just said, we're not going to do that now. We'll address that aspect of it in the future.
I had an interesting conversation with a person today who was talking about leadership, and one of the big things is it was kind of laughing at me because I've just learned. We talk about this, learn new things all the time. And in the last probably 5 years, I've learned more about leadership than ever. Is admitting as a leader that you're not perfect and that you've got weaknesses yourself, right? I think sometimes leaders get in the way because they have this feeling that they're constantly supposed to be right all the time. They shouldn't show any kind of a weakness. And really, the opposite is true. Don't you think?
Oh yeah. Well, I start out all of my presentations by telling a story of a significant failure that I had when I was still in uniform. But that failure taught me 3 lessons that are in my conscious mind every day. Lesson number 1 was you owe your leader 100%. There's nothing between 100% and 0. You can't say, well, we do what the leader says 90% of the time. Or in my case, it's like, we're going to follow that order tomorrow. No, the order was effective immediately. We're not going to follow that order tomorrow. So that's so lesson number 1 is you owe your leader 100%. Number 2, as a leader, you have to require 100%. You can't accept less than that, because that's what you'll get every time if you continually accept less than 100%. But number 3, and really most important, people will come up short of 100% from time to time. And when that happens, and if they're bought into the organization and the mission and the culture, put them on a path for recovery. Allow that failure to fail forward, and work with those people, to bring them back up to 100%. I still fail from time to time, and it's going to happen in any organization. And again, leaders can handle that in a way that allows for growth, and that's really what advances organizations.
And do you think it's important too? I know you know this and believe the same thing, but to make sure people understand that one person's 100% isn't going to be the same as another person's 100%, right? That first line, like if we use a hockey team, for example, that first line guy, his 100% may be up at a higher level. The fourth line guy, his 100% is down lower.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely right. And when I talk about one of the discussions I have is performance versus behavior. And, ideally you have high performance, high behavior. But what happens when you don't have high performance, high behavior? And I won't give the whole discussion here. It's about a 10 or 15 minute discussion, but you could have an instance where you have low performance, but high behavior. So behavior is trust. Behavior is that person's willingness to show up with a good attitude and do their best every day. And you might have to change what you expect from that person. If they have low performance but very high behavior, maybe you just reassign them within the organization, reduce your performance expectation, because I'll tell you what, that high behavior, that's moral and ethical character is what it is. And you want that. More good, solid moral and ethical character is gold in the workplace as far as I'm concerned.
So go ahead. Let's relate that to a hockey team, for example. So you got some young guy or girl that shows up and plays, and they're maybe not as talented, but they've got a fantastic attitude, right?
Yeah.
So make sure you're putting them in the right spots.
No, for sure you do. And I think I mentioned this to you before. And what I do is I make sure they know their job. Hey, your job is to be on the ice for less than a minute, to give line 1 and line 2 a rest. You get out there, your shifts are going to be shorter than the other lines, but that's part of our strategy to winning games. It's part of our job. You get on the ice, keep the puck out of our zone for 30 seconds and get off the ice, and let's get the other lines back out there. So they still have a very important role, but it's different for sure.
Right. How is your hockey team doing?
I'm glad you asked.
Yeah. Oh, they're doing well. Okay.
Well, so we had a game Sunday and we won 5-2. But what's funny is this was our fourth game of the season. We were 0-3 going into this weekend. And when we lost the first game, they outshot us 40-15, and we lost like 9-2. When we lost our second game, they outshot us 30-20, and we lost like 5-2. Third game, shots on goal were about the same. This weekend, we outshot them. 30-15.
Wow.
So what's happening with my team is we're making progress. We're growing. Yeah. We're getting better. And these are high schoolers, and I know you've worked with high schoolers. It's a fun group of young men and young ladies to be around.
Right. And the good thing that comes with that too, I think you talk about leadership. So now you've been teaching them things and showing them the way you want things done. And now they're starting to see the results. So now they're starting to believe in your leadership even more, right?
It's exactly right. Right down to our goalie. Second year. I mean, this kid's in 10th grade. This is his second year in the net. You would think he's been playing goalie since he was a mite. He has just come so far between last year and this year.
Right. That's so cool too. I remember my son, both my sons actually, but the older one in particular, he's playing goalie, and when he went to high school, it was like 5 goalies ahead of him. So he wanted to still be on the high school team, and he just wasn't going to make it as a goaltender. So he had to work during the summer to teach himself to be a better skater because he'd been a goaltender all along. And he did all that, and he came in and made the high school team. And it was really around that time, that now, like you're talking, now these guys start to see themselves as people, yes, as athletes, but as people more importantly, that they can accomplish things that they couldn't do maybe a month ago or 6 months ago, but now they're doing it. And I think I really saw a huge growth in him. And he's still that way, like at work and in his personal life, where he just believes he can do anything now. Just because he can't do it right now doesn't mean he can't do it down the road.
Yeah, that's awesome. How old is he?
The oldest one's 30 years old. My youngest is 27, and I'm proud of both of them. They're different people, obviously, but just really driven. Like for them to come to me and ask for help, it was just like drive them crazy. Like they want to be able to do it themselves. So I love that. But I leave them alone. If they come to me for help, I die for them. I know you would too with your kids, but yeah, pretty proud of them for that. Yeah,
that's great. Another thing we did because of COVID, we got dressed in the parking lot. Actually, we have a dryland training area outside, so not really the parking lot, but an organized area. And dressing up before the game and after the game in 65-degree weather and on a sunny day, that was pretty cool too. Yeah. So we got to look at some permanent change. Dress outside when the weather cooperates, regardless.
Yeah, no kidding. I would love to see more places where they had outdoor rinks. Like they make outdoor rinks now where you can put the refrigeration system underneath and everything. Yeah. It's not ideal in all parts of the country, but as much as possible, I think maybe that's some of the stuff that comes from this COVID, right? So now you're outside instead of being in a confined area.
Yeah, for sure. Was Winter Classic around when you were still active?
No, I never played in the Winter Classic itself, but I did get to play in an alumni game when the Rangers played the Flyers. I guess must have been like 8 years ago. The day before, they had an alumni game there, so I played in that, and it was incredible. I mean, the planes are flying over during the national anthem and everything. You're playing outside, and I was really surprised. I knew it would be great, but it was even better than I thought it was going to be. It was incredible.
That's cool. That's super cool. All right, yeah. One of my dreams. Next alumni game we playing together. Maybe we got to set that up.
Yeah, we should. We should try to do it outside. It'd be incredible. Yeah, and again, with this environment, with packing people into a small little arena, it'd be so much safer for everybody being outside too. So
yeah, exactly.
So how many games does your team play?
We usually play 18 to 23, 18 to 24 games, depending on there's the schedule changes sometimes. In this COVID environment, we actually just lost 3 games. But 18 to 25, something like that.
Right. I keep forgetting to ask you, are you still involved in the Navy at all? Do you still do stuff with them?
Not in any official capacity. Only, not in any official capacity. Well, I should, not in any official capacity, but, in my facility, we conduct military training. So I do have contracts with the Navy to conduct training in my facility. So in that capacity, yeah. And in one sense, it's like I never even got out because all the same dudes I was running and gunning with, for a lot of my career that are still active duty, I see them training in my building every week.
Right. So just so everybody knows, Bob down in Virginia Beach has one of those iFly places where they do the simulated skydiving. And we went down there and did it. Man, it was cool too. It was good. It was
yeah. Thanks for saying simulated skydiving, because I think when we were talking about a month or so ago, you said pretend skydiving.
But then, oh, okay. I'm learning.
For sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it was funny. So we went down there and we were with a bunch of other Navy SEAls and retired military guys and everything. And obviously they'd done this a lot of times. I think there's going to be 5 of us that were going to be getting in there and taking turns. And somebody, I think the instructor asked who wants to go first. And I'm thinking to myself, there's no way I'm going to sit here and watch those guys. See, and that was I'm talking about my own growth. In the past, if something like that was happening, I would always sit to the back. I hadn't done it before. But I'm thinking to myself, instead of sitting there and watching the other guys do it, I want to go do it myself. I'm not going to be the best guy there because these guys have done it before. But I was happy because that kind of mentality is really kind of ingrained into my mind now, where don't sit back, go, if you want something, go do it. Don't worry about what everybody else thinks about what you're doing. Right.
Yeah. Go get after it. Exactly right. And you did a great job. I remember. And we got to get you back down here though. And do that again, get you to maybe bring your kids or it's significant other. It's a great thing to do, date night out, whatever. But
yeah, that's a great idea. That was something different. Yeah.
Yeah. And we'll probably hold a board meeting down here, hopefully in the next, in the next couple of months.
Right. So everybody knows Bob and I met. We're both on the board of this Warrior for Life Foundation, where they were initially the idea was to go in and kind of fix up an old arena they had down there. The guys coming back from service have really got a lot of benefits from it, therapeutically, just getting together as the guys. Now the goal is to build a brand new arena. The city is how far has that gone with city donating the land? Is that?
Yeah. So we actually hit a snag last week. This was going to go to council last week. And there was one other little check in the box on the parking requirement. And, we're putting this in a sports park, basically. So there's the field house, which is indoor soccer, indoor tennis, indoor basketball. And then there's a sportsplex, which is an outdoor stadium, soccer and lacrosse and football. And then we would be the third building kind of in this general area. And we all share this big 1,100 space parking lot. Well, as we were developing our site plan, we all assumed that 1,100 space parking lot was plenty for everybody to share based on deconflicting schedules. We don't all 3 want to have major tournaments on the same weekend. But after getting with those other venue operators, they do not think that there are enough spaces to share the parking. So we're doing 2 things. One is we're doing a study to validate that. And 2 is we have another location in the same area, and we would just have to build our own parking, and we can move over to that quickly and easily if necessary.
Which necessarily might not be bad, right? I've been to tournaments where when my kids were playing, where it just was too many on a weekend. If you ever did get where they were all in the same place, people weren't having any place to park. So maybe it works out to be a good thing.
Yeah, and we're and when I told the city manager, I said just pull it off of city council's agenda and let's get this figured out. And he's like, really? He goes, man, we've been working a long time on this. I said, I want to brief them with 100% accuracy and confidence. And if we don't have this thing solved, let's not brief it. He's like, okay, no problem. So we'll address it again. We'll have this thing resolved in the next 30 days.
So when are we expecting you to be the mayor of Virginia Beach? That's natural, isn't it?
Yeah, that's funny because Rich Appleby, who he runs our hockey program down here. Rich introduces me as the future mayor all the time. And,
really?
Yeah, but and first of all, it doesn't pay anything. I mean, it pays very little. But second of all, then you got half the city hating you and half the city liking you. And your kids get to hear, all the terrible things people had to say about you as a politician. So
that's not going to bother you, though. Don't give me that. You're missing negatives right now. That's going to happen. I don't think you've got a choice. I think it's just a natural progression for you.
So I think it'll happen between next week and never.
There you go. Very good. I actually one time I lived in another town just next here, and I got asked to participate in local government. And I said, listen, I would love to serve, but I'm not going to be a politician. I'm not going to do all that kind of stuff. I'd love to help out. And within 2 weeks, they were asking me to do things. I said, no, I haven't even got to the point yet where I was elected or not elected. But they were asking me to do things that I said I just wasn't going to do, so I pulled out of it. But it would be great to serve the community if you could get around all that other stuff. You have to,
and that's the only reason I give it any thought at all is to serve the community. Having worn a uniform for 26 years, I believe in service, and I'm looking for opportunities not only for myself but for everybody on my team, to serve the community in some capacity. we have this great thing called SeaTac Soars we do with some of the kids down the street here. There's an elementary school. It's called a Title I school or an Achievable Dream Academy. And these kids face challenging circumstances in their neighborhoods and in their homes. And we have a program here called Youth League. So if you wanted your child to learn how to fly and get into the sport and all that, we do 13 weeks before Christmas and 13 weeks after Christmas. And it would cost you $1,000 per 13-week session. And we donate that to the fifth graders at SeaTac Elementary School. And so these kids are with us for 13 weeks. We get a group for 13 weeks and then a new group. And it's the coolest thing in the world. We are, our intent is the foundation of what we do is to build pride and confidence in these kids. And we do that by exposing them to indoor skydiving, something that's expensive and they might otherwise not be able to do. But the other part about that is when they first, and they have to write essays and the school picks who participates. But, again, some of these kids are hesitant to begin with. They're like, I'm not sure I want to do that. And by week 13, when we do the full-on showcase, when we bring in the parents and the administrators, those kids are like, Mom, Dad, look at me. Mom, Dad, look at me. Just like a mite or a squirt sticking the puck in an empty net. Mom, did you see that? So,
I don't think we realize all the time, or maybe we forget, get a little sound problem there. I think it's coming from my end, but I don't think people realize all the time how important it is to have those kids do things that they maybe weren't comfortable with at first, and now all of a sudden they can do it, right? I mean, in that case where the kids get into the thing, because I was the same way. I mean, at first you're like, I've never done this before, you see somebody do it, really, like, you're fantastic at it. But then once you get in there and you do it, you realize, yeah, I can do this, right?
Yeah, exactly. What you're doing is you hear the term get outside of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
So that anxiety is taking people outside of their comfort zone. And then like you get in there and you do it, and you do a good job. What you've done is expanded your comfort zone. Your comfort zone just got bigger. And that's kind of the metaphor in leadership. When I do leadership activities at iFly Virginia Beach, when we do elevate your leadership at iFly Virginia Beach, there's an hour of flight time that's built into the full day program for that purpose.
I think we had this discussion before too. When I was coaching my son playing goalie, he was always staying in the blue paint in the crease. And to be a more effective goalie, I always taught was you need to get outside the crease and cut down the angles more. And I kept saying to him, get outside the blue paint. And I wanted him to learn about getting out of his comfort zone, that blue paint. And, of course, I'm the father, so he's not going to listen to me. But years later, we were talking. It was just like within the last 3 or 4 years. We were talking about something. It came back around again to the blue paint. And he stopped for a second, and he now realizes what I was trying to instill in him. And he goes, oh, now I get what you meant. It wasn't just about the blue paint on the ice. It was about getting out of that comfort zone. So that is important. Somebody actually asked me the other day, what's the last thing you did to get out of your comfort zone? Well, every day I get up and get out of my comfort zone. I think it's important, right? I mean, it's getting used to the fact that it's okay to be outside your comfort zone.
For sure. No, that's a great thing that people should do on a daily basis is ask themselves, have I gotten outside of my comfort zone today? And if so, what did I learn? Did my comfort zone grow? I think that's a great daily checklist thing. I'm going to add that to elevate your leadership, but I will give credit to
perfect. Go through a long, great story about what a fantastic human being I am, right? Okay, really make the goal. I appreciate that.
Hey, actually, back to that Texas trip, I did tell a Tom Laidlaw story. Your story of Coach Brooks, how the shot comes from the heart. Yep. Right. And
yep.
Yeah. And the metaphor I made is that leadership comes from the heart. Anything that it has great meaning, it's got to come from the heart. If it doesn't, then your chances of success are a lot less. So Coach Brooks was onto something there, and I truly appreciate you sharing that with me.
Yeah. It is amazing how much I learned from that too. So, well, listen, I think we'll cut this off. I have some bad sound here, and I think it's coming from me. But great job. We'll be back again next Monday. And Bob, great to have you on again. I hope everybody learned something from Bob as usual.
Thank you so much, Tom. I love it, and we'll get the sound techs on it.
Fair enough. All right. Yeah, the IT guys. All right. Talk to you.
All right. See ya.